at utility as the satisfaction that a consumer derives from consuming a commodity or services at any given time or at a particular point in time. And so we can say that utility has to do with satisfaction, moment of satisfaction. And what gives satisfaction to Mr. A cannot give satisfaction to Mr. B. You can give me a product, I am satisfied with the services, or I'm satisfied with the product. You can give that same product to Mr. B, and Mr. B will not be satisfied with that product or the services rendered to him. So satisfaction is individual. I can get satisfied from a product that I love, and the other person might not get satisfaction. So what is utility to me might not be utility to the other person. And so it has to do with satisfaction that a consumer or a customer derive by consuming a product. So if I have a satisfaction from a product, that means that I am satisfied, and that is utility. So that is it for utility. Now we want to look at types of utility, and the first type of utility we want to look at is marginal utility. Marginal utility. Marginal utility has to do with the additional satisfaction derived by a consumer by an extra unit of a commodity. The extra unit that a consumer gains satisfaction, or an extra unit that a consumer gets, is what we call marginal utility. Let's say, for example, I bought my first bottle water, and then I bought a second one. The addition of the second one is my marginal utility. That's because I love the first one, so I needed more. I got an extra unit of that product. That is marginal utility. So marginal utility has to do with the additional satisfaction derived by consuming an extra unit of a commodity. Like the water I said. If I buy a bottle of pure water, a bottle of water, and I took that water, I got satisfaction from it, and I still love to take another one. The extra one I'm going to buy after the first one I have consumed is my marginal utility. Now we have seen what marginal utility is. Now we go to the next type of utility, which is total utility. What is total utility? Under marginal utility, this is the curve representation of marginal utility. The x-axis and the y-axis. In here we have the units, the utility unit here, and we have the unit of consumption. So if you want to plot the graph, you're going to have the unit of utility here, and then you're going to have the unit of consumption there. So we've seen what marginal utility is. We've seen the graphical representation of it. Then the formula is marginal utility is equals to change in total utility all over change in consumption. Change in total utility all over change in consumption. Now we want to look at total utility. What is total utility? Total utility, this is the amount of satisfaction a consumer derives from the consumption of a commodity at a particular time. Total utility is the total amount of satisfaction a consumer derives from the consumption of a commodity at a particular time. Let's say, for example, a consumer takes a bar of chocolate. After he takes that first bar of chocolate, he gets a satisfaction. He buys a second bar of chocolate and buys a third bar of chocolate. Let's say the first bar gives him 10 utility. That's the happiness he feels consuming it. second one gives him that happiness, and the third one gives him that happiness. That means that the consumer is willing to buy that product because it gives him the happiness, the satisfaction that he or she derives from that product. So total utility is the total amount of satisfaction a consumer derives from the consumption of a commodity at a particular time. That means he is happy consuming that product. If it's a bar of chocolate and is happy consuming that bar of chocolate, he has a satisfaction that I'm happy with this bar of chocolate. He buys another, he is equally happy. He buys a third, he is equally happy. That means that he is getting satisfaction each time he consumes that bar of chocolate. That is total utility. Okay? You have seen marginal and extra units the individual buy because he likes the product. But this is the total satisfaction the individual derives because of a particular product that he or she consumes. Economists uses this kind of analysis to understand the demand of products. What are customers willing to buy at every point in time that satisfy their needs? What is that product they love to buy to gain the optimum satisfaction from that product? So if they like the product, they are going to buy it and they are happy to buy it. That is total utility. And it is graphically represented by this kind of curve, the x-axis, the y-axis. And in the x-axis, place will have the units of consumption, unit of consumption, and here we have the unit of utility. So you see how it goes up because of the happiness. He takes one, he takes again, it's going up. What's the formula for it? Average utility times quantity consumed. So for total utility, TU equals to average utility times quantity consumed. Total utility formula for it is average utility times quantity consumed. When we derive a table, we are going to see how this whole thing is going to interpret. So bear in mind the formulas. You need the formulas. There are formulas you have to know at the back of your hands. We'll talk about marginal utility is change in total utility all over change in consumption, while total utility has to do with average utility times quantity consumed. Now we are going to look at the third one, which is average utility. What is average utility? Remember, we are seeing on our objective types of utility. We've taken marginal utility, we've taken total utility. What is average utility? The next one is average utility. Average utility is the satisfaction which a consumer derives per unit of a commodity consumed. The satisfaction he derives per unit of a product he consumes. If, for example, a unit is 4 and he consumes 4 units, that's to say 4 times 4. Okay, so it is the satisfaction which a consumer derives per unit of a commodity he consumes. So each product has its units that he has consumed, and that is average utility. So what is the formula? Don't worry, you are going to see how it's going to apply. The average formula is average utility, this is average utility equals to total utility divided by consumer consumption. Average utility is total utility divided by consumption. When you remember that average is division, you will not forget this formula. And so this is the curve illustrating that. So this is the curve for average utility. Know each of the curve. Now we're going to look at a little graphical representation of this question, and see how you're going to apply the average cost, the average utility, the marginal utility, and the total utility. So come along, let's take a sample of this table that will help you to impute it into it, because that's the table they used to give you in your examination. Now let's look at this pictorial illustration to calculate what we have discussed. This is your quantity of goods. They've told us that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is our total units. This is our average unit. This is our marginal unit. Now, the total unit is 8. The average unit is 8. Then the marginal unit will be nothing at the first instance. The second one, the total unit, it's 14, which is 2 times 7. It has given us 14. Then the marginal is going to be total units of the second quantity minus the first. It will give us 16. Now the third one, we're going to minus the total unit here minus the next one is going to give us the marginal utility. Then the 22 here minus the 18 is going to give us for marginal, which is 4. The 25 here minus the marginal utility is going to give us 3 for marginal utility. So that means that the first one, the total utility, is what you use to calculate your marginal utility. Then the next one I want to talk about is this. 1 divided by 8. Here we have nothing there. So the next one, how do we get this, your average utility? Remember we told you is diffusion. 2 divided by 7, 2 divided by 14, which is the total of the goods divided by the total utility is going to give us 7. That will be the average utility. It will give us the average utility. Then 3, which is the quantity of goods divided by the total utility, it will give us 6. That will be the average utility. Then 4 divided by 22 will give us 5.5. That will give us the average utility. Then 5 divided by 25 will give us 5. That will be the average utility. So when they give you this curve, know that they will give you the quantity of your goods. Then you will use your total utility to get your marginal utility. Minus from the bottom, the low to the top, and it will give you your marginal utility. Then for your average utility, divide the quantity, divide it with the total utility. That will give you the answer for your average utility. So I guess this table have been able to tell you how you are going to impute your formula and how you are going to use it. And so if you are told to plot a graph with this, since you have the quantity of goods and you have total utility, you have the average utility, I have the marginal utility. If you are going to construct for marginal utility and quantity of goods, you use this table and this table. If you are going to plot a graph for average utility, you are going to use this table and this table. If you are going to plot a graph for marginal utility, you are going to use this table and this table. So this is how we can simply impute this into our table. We are going to carry over our third objective, the law of diminishing marginal utility, to our next class, so you can comprehend this class. In our next class, we'll look at the law of diminishing marginal utility. Hope you find value for this class. Thank you for joining me on this class, and thank you for being our community. Share the videos, invite more persons to the channel. This is Class Online School. We deliver educational stuff here, and we do things that help you to build your total you. We have your counseling section, have your sex education, we have your business tip, and we have the Nigerian curriculum. I hope you will come next time. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Try as much as possible to hit the subscribe button. Give us a like, a thumbs up, and hit the like button so that this video will be visible to so many. There are a lot of persons that need this video, but if you don't publicize it, how many persons will get to know it? So let's make the channel grow. Let's invite more persons to the channel. Let's share the video. Share to your classmates, share to your children, share to those you think will find value for this class. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next.